Welcome back to Real Spill, the channel where family secrets, betrayal, and raw life stories come to light. Before we begin, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss a new story. I don't owe you anything anymore. Mom, you sat at home all day anyway, slowly rotting in front of the TV. What difference does it make you spend time with some dumb soap opera or your own grandkids? Yulia's voice rang sharp with irritation. She angrily adjusted the strap of her designer handbag while her two rowdy boys tore through the apartment screaming and laughing, already having knocked over a pot of geraniums. Dark soil scattered across the freshly cleaned linoleum like an ugly stain. Margaret quietly stared at the chaos, sighed, and reached for the broom. Retirement had once seemed like salvation to her. Naively, she had imagined sleeping until 9 in the morning without an alarm clock jerking her awake. She dreamed of slowly sipping hot tea while watching the city wake up outside her window. Silence, peace, freedom from schedules and bosses. But reality turned out very differently. Her cozy two-bedroom apartment had become a 24-hour daycare center, a storage unit for everyone else's junk, and a free ATM. Yulia genuinely believed her mother now had an unlimited supply of time and energy. Showing up Friday night without warning and dumping the kids there had become completely normal. Me and Brandon are going to the movies. Date night. Save whatever food you've got. Come on, Mom. You always know how to make something out of nothing. Your fridge always has something in it. And Margaret cooked. She fried pancakes while standing at the stove until her lower back throbbed in pain. She grated carrots, listened to screaming, broke up fights, scrubbed marker stains out of t-shirts. Her son Ethan was a different kind of problem. 32 years old and still trying to find himself. One week he was launching a genius startup. The next, his car urgently needed repairs. Then life was just unfair to talented people. Mom, please help me out. I'm desperate. Spot me a couple hundred till payday or I'll literally starve. Or send it to my credit card. I swear I'll pay it off the second I get my check. Of course, he never paid anything back. Margaret sighed, went grocery shopping, stood in store aisles forever, choosing the cheapest pasta with bright red discount tags, putting back the cheese she actually liked. Her pension disappeared in a week and a half, leaving behind nothing but anxiety and an empty wallet. Her children never asked how she was feeling. They never wondered how she paid for her medications. She had become a convenient household appliance, a function, something permanently plugged into the wall and always available for service. The breaking point came on an ordinary Tuesday. Someone rang the doorbell insistently. On the doorstep stood Denise. Her late husband's sister had never liked Margaret. She always looked down on her and spoke through clenched teeth. Denise considered herself a woman of class, while her brother's wife was just some unfortunate mistake society had been forced to tolerate. Denise marched straight into the kitchen, sat down at the table, and impatiently tapped her manicured nails against the vinyl tablecloth. Make me some tea, and bring out something fresh. After drinking a cup without even saying thank you, Denise casually wandered into the living room like she owned the place. Margaret followed behind her. What she saw made her freeze in the doorway. Denise had opened the old china cabinet, the one filled with memories. With disgustingly curious hands, she rummaged through the expensive crystal glassware Margaret and her husband had once bought together. She pulled out a heavy-cut glass serving bowl, then reached for the antique tea set with delicate gold trim. I think I'll take this for my birthday party, Denise announced matter-of-factly, while stuffing the fragile porcelain saucers into her enormous leather bag. Decent people will be coming. At least I won't be embarrassed to put this on the table. Margaret was speechless. The audacity squeezed her throat shut. Denise, put that back. Who gave you permission to take my things? Why do you even need them? Denise asked sincerely, not stopping for a second. They've been collecting dust for decades. You people drink out of chipped mugs anyway. No taste whatsoever. They're memories. Margaret's voice trembled. My husband and I bought them together. Put them back. Denise slowly straightened up and turned around. A poisonous smirk twisted her lips as she looked Margaret up and down like she was inspecting used furniture. Oh please. Memories, really. You've spent your whole life being a gray little mouse. You never had anything of your own. You survived off my brother your entire life. He carried you, dressed you, fed you. At least now, in your old age, you could finally be useful to the family instead of sitting here like some queen living off everybody else. Margaret expected herself to cry, to start defending herself, to explain how she worked double shifts at the factory, how she carried the family while her husband was sick, how she forgot long ago what salons and new shoes even felt like. But no tears came, no excuses either. something strange happened. The fog lifted. The haze disappeared. Without saying a word, Margaret walked toward Denise. Her gaze became unbearably heavy. She reached into Denise's bag, grabbed the edge of her serving bowl sticking out, and yanked it back toward herself. Then she removed the saucers one by one and carefully placed them back on the table. Denise stumbled backward in shock. "What the hell are you doing, you psycho?" she shrieked. Margaret didn't answer. She turned around, walked into the hallway with calm, measured steps, and flung the front door wide open. "Get out, and don't ever set foot in my home again." Denise practically flew out into the hallway, muttering curses and spinning, her finger at her temple. The door slammed shut right in front of her face. The next day, Margaret wandered around the city for hours. She simply walked the streets, watching strangers pass by. That afternoon she met her old friend Carol in the park. They sat on a weathered wooden bench feeding aggressive pigeons. "You know what, Carol?" Margaret stared at the yellow leaves scattered beneath their feet. "Denise just said out loud what my own children really think about me. I suddenly saw everything clearly. I'm not their mother anymore. I'm free labor, a limitless wallet. They look at me and only see what they can get out of me. Be useful, Mom. Keep giving. But where am I in all this? I don't even exist anymore." Carol stayed quiet for a long moment, wrapping her scarf tighter around herself. "So what are you gonna do?" she finally asked softly. "Maybe find a hobby. Take some classes or something." Margaret gave a bitter laugh. "What classes? Just thinking about more schedules, obligations, and rules makes me sick. I don't need fake entertainment or distractions." She paused. "I want to live, just live." And suddenly she remembered. A dream. An old dream worn thin with time. Seattle, the Pacific Ocean, endless hills disappearing into the horizon. Sharp salty wind against her face. Huge fresh crabs on a plate. Ever since she was young, she had dreamed about the Pacific Northwest. She devoured travel magazines, cut out pictures, imagined herself there. But then came children, bills, illness, survival. There was never time for the ocean. The next morning, everything changed. Fast, permanent. Margaret put on her best coat and went to the bank. The young teller smiled politely while typing on her keyboard. Margaret withdrew all her savings from her deposit account. The very same money Ethan had been begging for to buy a new work laptop. After leaving the bank, she walked into a shopping mall. For the first time in 10 years, she didn't go to the discount grocery store. She walked into a travel agency. The travel consultant spent a long time searching through options. Direct flight tickets purchased. A beautiful hotel with a panoramic view of Elliott Bay booked for 2 full weeks. No cooking pots. No scrubbing floors. No runny noses. No other people's debts. Just her and endless blue water. With the remaining cash, Margaret bought herself a brand new rolling suitcase, bright red, bold, impossible to ignore, and a stylish travel outfit the color of the deep sea. Friday arrived inevitably. Classic chaos. Traffic. Stress. Evening rush. The hallway outside her apartment was noisy and cramped. Yulia dragged her resistant boys behind her. She had booked a luxury spa resort weekend with friends, which meant dumping. The kids at her mother's place was already considered settled and non-negotiable. Ethan showed up too. Their mother hadn't answered her phone for 2 days or replied to his messages, and he urgently, desperately, needed $1,500. They ran into each other at the door. The doorbell rang over and over impatiently. Finally, the door slowly opened. Yulia had already inhaled deeply, preparing to launch into her usual speech. "Mom, hurry up, we're late." But the words died in her throat. Standing in the doorway was Margaret, but not the Margaret they knew. Not the hunched-over woman in a faded house robe smelling like baked pies. Before them stood an elegant, confident woman. Perfectly styled hair, light makeup, a chic travel outfit, a delicate handbag in one hand, the handle of a bright red suitcase firmly gripped in the other. "Mom, where are you going dressed like that?" Yulia's jaw literally dropped, while she automatically tried to push the boys into the apartment. "We already have plans. We're leaving for the spa. The boys are staying with you till Sunday. I didn't buy groceries, so figure something out." "Mom, what is this circus?" Ethan snapped angrily, trying to look past her shoulder. "I need money urgently. I've been texting you nonstop and you're ghosting me. Transfer it now. I gotta go." Margaret didn't move aside. She didn't let the children into the apartment. Calmly, without rushing, she rolled the suitcase into the hallway, stepped outside, and pulled the heavy metal door shut behind her. Click! The key disappeared into her purse. Then she turned to her children and looked directly into their eyes. "Yulia, those are your children. Take care of them yourself. Cancel the spa trip, or take them with you. They are your responsibility." "Ethan, You are a grown, healthy man with 2 working hands and legs. Go get a job. The bank of mom is permanently closed. The credit card is canceled. There's no more money. And there never will be again. Silence filled the hallway. Even the hyperactive grandkids stopped moving and stared at their grandmother with wide eyes. Yulia blinked rapidly, trying to process the scale of the disaster. Ethan went pale. Where are you going? The brother and sister asked in unison. I'm flying to Seattle. Margaret adjusted her collar and smiled. For the first time in years, it was a real smile. I'm going to eat seafood, walk along the waterfront, and stare at the Pacific Ocean. She paused and looked at them one last time. I gave you my youth. I gave you my health and every ounce of my strength, but my pension and the rest of my life, I'm finally taking those back for myself. Figure it out on your own. Then she turned around and walked toward the elevator with a straight back and steady, confident steps. The walk of a woman who finally knew exactly where she was going. Behind her stood 2 fully grown children, lost and helpless on a dirty apartment stairwell, alone with the problems they had spent years dumping onto someone else. Downstairs, a taxi to the airport was already waiting for her. The air outside felt unbelievably fresh and sweet. Ahead of her were 2 weeks by the ocean, and the rest of her life. Her life. Thanks for listening to Real Spill. If this story hit home for you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments. And remember, sometimes, the bravest thing a person can do is finally choose themselves.